Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to continue talking about dealing with company downsizing. Remember last time we talked about a letter from the CEO, Mr. Lawrence Xia. He was sending this letter out to the employees of the company to tell them, hey, we're downsizing. Some of you are going to lose your jobs. Of course, the ones who are going to lose your job, we've already talked to you, but the rest of you need to know about this as well.
Yeah.
Well, when this happens, if you're going to be let go, then you might have some kind of severance package. As a result, they're going to make some arrangements to end your relationship. And today we're talking about this particular agreement between Miranda Stenberg, who's the employee who's being laid off, and the employer, Kenneth Hahn, who unfortunately has the responsibility of laying her off and making this agreement with her.
So we're going to look a little bit longer at this severance agreement. It's kind of interesting to see what this company has put in there. We'll talk about some of these terms as well. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This severance agreement, effective August 31st, 2019, is between Miranda Stenberg, employee, and Kenneth Hahn, employer. It states that the employee was employed by the employer from March 1st, 2010 to August 31st, 2019. It states that the employer and the employee have agreed to end their employer-employee relationship effective August 31st, 2019, and it states that both the employer and the employee desire to settle any disputes regarding their employment relationship. Therefore, both parties agree to the following terms. 1. Effective as of the severance date, the employee's position with the employer shall be ended. 2. The employer agrees to pay the employee an amount of 350,000 NT dollars in consideration of this agreement. 3. The employer has no responsibility to pay beyond what is stated in Section 2. 4. The employee agrees that he or she will not speak badly of the employer, whether verbal or written. 5. The employee releases the employer from any legal responsibility. 6. For 2 years after the severance date, the employee agrees he or she will not attempt to convince others to leave the employer's company. 7. By the severance date, the employee is responsible for returning all company property to the employer. 8. The employer makes no further agreements about the employee's severance beyond this document. In witness of this agreement, the parties have enabled this severance agreement by adding their signatures below.
Okay, guys, we're going to take care of some final business with a severance agreement. We talked about that word severance in the first reel for this particular unit. When I see severance, I think of sever, a severed limb or a severed finger, which means it was cut off. You'll often see that expression used in horror movies or things on TV where someone's, cut off a finger. To use it maybe to open a safe. Nowadays they're putting safes together that you don't use numbers to get it to open. You might need to use your fingerprint or your eyeball. You have to look at it. But I remember I was watching a show called 24 that was very popular. It was about terrorism in the U.S. And that was how he got something to open. He cut someone's finger off or severed someone's finger. So severance is it's kind of a scary word, especially when they're talking about severing you from your company job. So, yeah, someone is having to be laid off. They're getting laid off. And this is the agreement. An agreement here is a formal contract that people agree to and sign. And once you sign this, you can actually be sued in a court of law if you don't do what your half or your part says you will do, and vice versa. The employee has to do what they've said they're going to do, and the employer has to as well.
Right, so they're taking care of business here,
Yeah.
taking care of final business with this severance agreement. And here's how it begins. It says, this severance agreement, effective August 31st, 2019, is between Miranda Stenberg, who is the employee, and Kenneth Hahn, who is the employer. So this is the agreement here, and it will become effective in just a couple of days. Of course, today is August 29th, and so this agreement will start to have effect on August 31st of this year. So effective here just means it is valid. You have to follow the instructions of this. If you don't, you could get punished by the court. So right now it's not effective because the date has not arrived yet, but in 2 days it will be effective. It will be valid.
Yeah, or go into effect. We see that as well. So it's effective or it will go into effect August 31st, 2019. And Tom talked about who it was between. Typically, a CEO isn't going to be signing this. It will be the person who manages that department or division. CEOs are usually way too busy to do this stuff. But this states that the employee, who of course we know is Miranda, was employed by the employer from March 1st, 2010 to August 31st, 2019.
Wow.
It's a long time. So it also states that the employer and the employee have agreed to end their relationship effective August 31st, 2019. So that's when this relationship will be terminated or will be at an end. So, yeah, it's a long time to work for a company and then be laid off.
It's nice that this does not say that she's been laid off. It doesn't really say why she's not going to work for them anymore. And there's no reason for that to be mentioned in this agreement. It just needs to say they're ending their employer-employee relationship. And
well, I have to say, though, Tom, if you're fired, you don't get a severance package ever.
Right. I don't know if I said fired there, but...
No, you were saying that they don't say they lay them off, but you can assume that, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So it goes on here to the next point. It says, it states, this particular agreement states, that the employer and the employee have agreed to end their employer-employee relationship effective August 31st, 2019, and it states that both the employer and the employee desire to settle any disputes regarding their employment relationship. My goodness, we have to say the word employee and employer many times. And if you hear them many times, you might not be able to tell the difference between them. I'm beginning to mix them up myself. Employer, employee. Okay, so if you're the person who works at a certain place, then put that accent on the final syllable. Employee. Employer is the person who hired you, who gave you the job. So in this particular case, they're going to end their relationship. And of course, they need to settle any disagreements or disputes that they have. A dispute basically is a disagreement, a conflict that you might have. We hear about disputes all over the world regarding territory. Certain islands are disputed between different countries. As we know here in Asia, of course, there are all sorts of island groups that are disputed.
Yeah. Typically, if it's you and a friend who are having a dispute, we wouldn't use that word. It's a little bit more formal. We would use argument. They're having an argument or they're arguing over something. Yeah, or they're arguing about something. So they're trying to settle any disputes or arguments, disagreements regarding their relationship so that it's very clear for both sides or both parties. If it's a legal document, which this is, they'll use that word party to talk about one side, the other side's the other party. Third party is someone who's not directly involved, but has something to do with it. So let's go down and look at some of these terms that they've agreed to. Notice they're using that word party, party one, party two. So the first one is effective as of the severance date. The employee's position with the employer shall be ended. So as soon as that date, August 31st, 2019 comes, their relationship is over. So the position at that employee's company will be ended as well.
And point number 2 here says the employer agrees to pay the employee an amount of 350,000 NT dollars in consideration of this agreement. In consideration of is similar in meaning to in regard to this agreement. Because we have this agreement, we're going to give you this amount of money as a way to say thank you or whatever, but it's basically part of the severance package here. That's what we agreed on. You're going to get this amount of money.
It's a very formal phrase. I was thinking when I used to hear this. Sometimes if someone writes a note, it's from someone at your company, in consideration of all your great help, the company's awarding you a bonus this year of 100,000 NT dollars. They might use that terminology. Or as thanks for all your hard work this year, the company's giving you 100,000 NT dollars. In consideration of is typically something that is used in written English more often than spoken. So number 3, the employer has no responsibility to pay beyond what is stated in section 2. Which just means that, that employee can't expect that the money will continue coming to them after they've been paid what's stated in this agreement, which is 350,000. It's not a lot of money, but it depends on how big the company is, how long the person's been employed, and how much value the company has. The bigger companies are able to give you a much bigger severance package.
Yeah, because it's not so much, I guess she's going to have to eat a lot of bandongs as opposed to going to regular restaurants.
Or get a new job quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll find one. She worked there for 9 years, so she certainly has the experience here. So here in the next point here, number 4, it says, the employee agrees that he or she will not speak badly of the employer, whether verbal or written. So she can't badmouth the company. She can't go around and say, hey, that company is really bad because they laid me off. I hate them. They're all ugly. They never trim their hair. They never take baths. They're smelly. They're ugly, and they're untrustworthy. No, she can't say stuff like that. She has to keep her mouth shut.
If she does speak badly of the company or of her employer, she can be sued and they can take back the money they actually gave her. So when you sign one of these things, guys, it's serious. It's a contract. And if you break it, you have to pay. So verbal just means spoken. Written, of course, is on paper or typed out on a formal document. 5, it says the employee releases the employer from any legal responsibility. Meaning if something happens to her, maybe she falls and, hurts her ankle the next day. If it's past that date of August 31st, 2019, she can't sue her company for money. So, yeah, there's really nothing that the employee can be sued for after that date. The employee also releases, for 2 years, this is number 6, for 2 years after that date, the employee agrees he or she will not attempt to convince others to leave the employer's company. So she can't talk badly about the company. She also can't call her coworkers or colleagues that are still at that company and say, hey, I work for a new company now and they're so much better. Why don't you leave and you can come work with me here? She can also be sued for that.
I guess she could tell them about the other company, but she can't actually tell them to go apply for a job there. Okay, now here's number 7. By the severance date, the employee is responsible for returning all company property to the employer. Property, of course, is
computers, laptops,
stuff that you own.
Yeah, when I left, I wasn't being laid off. I was just leaving the company. I had lots of things that the company owned. I had 3 computers. I had 2 phones. They were Blackberries back then. But yeah, if the company owns it and they've been lending you stuff, of course you have to give it back. My company was great and let me keep everything. But typically that's not what happens. I happened to work for a good company that was very generous.
Sometimes that stuff is kind of worthless later, so they don't really care because there's upgrades with computers and stuff. But still, if you have a company car or a laptop computer or something, you're expected to return it to the company when you leave. Now, here's point number 8. It says the employer makes no further agreements about the employee's severance beyond this document. So, yes, this is everything included in this agreement. You can't make any more demands. That's it. That's everything right here. And if you sign this, then you can't say anything else about this.
Yeah, after you finish getting the $350,000, you can't go back and go, that just wasn't enough. I feel like you should pay me more. Too late. I was going to say 来不及. It's
too late. I suppose they could ask, but
no.
I guess they can't expect it. Maybe.
No, that would be dumb to ask even anyway. So, yeah, you're signing this agreement saying you agree to everything that has been stipulated. That's the word they always say. That has been stipulated in the contract or stipulated in the agreement. Your signature just signifies or represents that you agree with all of these things that are listed in the agreement, and you're going to obey them.
Right. And remember, a signature is when you sign something, especially if it's a document or some kind of agreement. I've heard this in some places where people are going to, say, a rock concert and they want to talk to the rock singer and get his signature. No, what you're talking about there is his or her autograph. I went to Jolene Tsai's concert and I got her autograph, which means they signed their name as sort of a souvenir for you, usually on a picture of themselves or something. That's called an autograph. But a signature is when someone signs their name because it's something official, like a document. You need to attach your signature to your application form when you want to get into a university or something.
I don't think you attach it to the...
Well, you put it on there or...
You just sign it.
You
need to make sure
include
your signature. I wanted to mention I often have to sign for deliveries that I get. So the delivery guy from FedEx isn't going to say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" He would for a joke in America say that because it's funny, because it's not really an autograph. You have to be famous if someone wants your autograph. He would say, "Hey, can you sign here?" or "I need your signature."
Exactly. Your signature. Please sign here on the dotted line.
Yeah.
And here at the bottom, we've got their signatures, Miranda Stenberg, and you need to date it. Please sign and date this. And, of course, the employer, Kenneth Hahn, signed and dated the document as well. So it's legit. This is an official document, and we wish Miranda the best of luck. Hopefully that's enough money for her to tide her over until she finds another job. And, this isn't so bad. If you get laid off, it might be an opportunity for something new and exciting. She may not regret this after all in the end. It may be opening a new door for her.
Yeah, sometimes your life gets better with big changes. So don't always be afraid, when something changes. May seem really bad at first, and then later on you think, oh, that was a blessing in disguise. Meaning it didn't look like it was a good thing at first, but it turned out to be great. So, yeah.
Of course, it could turn out to be really terrible,
Tom.
but we want to look on the bright side
Let's do that, shall we?
Okay, so right now let's look on the bright side by listening to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 今天要看的呢是跟法律相关的，叫做资遣协议书，英文叫做 Severance Agreement。今天文章的第一个句子提到 This severance agreement effective August 31st, 2019, is between Miranda Stenberg, employee, and Kenneth Hahn, employer. 在这里提到的这样子的资遣协议书呢，是经过双方同意，然后自西元2019年8月31日生效。我们先来看到 severance 这个字原本当名词，就是有切断、隔离的意思。Agreement 当然就是协议书的意思咯。而一个人离职，你要给他离职金或遣散费，英文就可以称之为 severance pay。举例来说，Normally, when a business owner lays off an employee for no good reason, he has to pay a severance pay. 一般来说，如果一个企业主呢，没有什么好理由而遣散了一名员工，他就必须要付 severance pay 遣散费。第二个我们要看到的是这样的形容词 effective， 指的在法律上是生效的、起作用的。再举一个例子， 国会通过的法案已经总统签署后立即生效，你就可以说A bill passed by Congress becomes effective as soon as the president signs it. OK， 这样我们了解了这样法律的用语，继续往下看，在后面提到协议书的内容。It states that both the employer and the employee desire to settle any disputes regarding their employment relationship.双方呢都愿意能够解决之间有可能的纠纷。我们讲到 settle a dispute， 也就是呢能够解决纠纷的意思。dispute 当作名词，有争执、争端的意思。你说 have a dispute with somebody about something，也就是在某事上跟某人发生了纠纷，而要解决纠纷就要搭配动词 settle。 下面有一些条款，在英文里面条款叫做 terms。 我们来看到第4跟第5的条款。第4个条款说The employee agrees that he or she will not speak badly of the employer, whether verbal or written.指的是受雇的人呢，同意不以口头或书面的方式来诋毁雇主。在这里的 verbal 是指言语上的、口头上的。我们常常说达到口头的协议，就可以说 verbal agreement。那在这里的 speak badly of somebody， 也就是去说他坏话，诋毁某人的意思。接着继续往下看第5个条款，它写着 The employee releases the employer from any legal responsibility。 受雇人免除雇主的所有法律责任。在这里的 release 一般来讲是有释放的意思，不过在法律上它则是有豁免跟免除的意思，搭配介系词 from。 解释，再举一个例子， This releases them from personal responsibility， 也就是说这一点就免除了他们的个人责任。所以呢，在这里是免除了 any legal responsibility。 legal 形容词，也就是有法律的意思。接着我们来继续看到最后一句， In witness of this agreement, the parties have enabled this severance agreement by adding their signatures below。 所以呢In witness of 也就是有见证的意思，所以有同意。那么透过双方在下面签名，就可以证明这个资遣的协议书是成立的。我们来看一下 enable 这个动词，以前我们常解释成为使什么可能，也有授权的意思。再举一个例子， The program will enable a large increase in student numbers。 也就是说，这样子的计划可以让学生的人数能够大量的增加。而在法律上面的签名，我们可以说是 signature， 这样子比较正式的说法来说明某人的签名。那如果你去参加歌星他们的签名会，那么他们签的就叫做 autograph，AUTOGRAPH， 那么跟这里的 signature 是不太一样，不过都是指签名的意思。 OK， 以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, we're going to have a discussion question to finish off the rest of our article for today. So remember, we've been talking about all the details of today's severance agreement. That's part of a severance package for Miranda Stenberg, who has been laid off because of company downsizing. So here's the question we're going to ask. Agreements like this one often have lots of details in them. Yes, that much is certain. There are lots of details here. So here's the question. What are some problems that could arise if important details are left out?
Well, just for the record, I have to say that no smart company would ever write this agreement out without the help of a lawyer. But say they did. Let's pretend. If you didn't stipulate or put in the agreement that you were going to pay a certain amount and that's it, you probably can expect that ex-employee to come back and say, you know what? $350 just wasn't enough. And I think because I was such a good employee, you should have paid me $1 million NT dollars. That's what I think. So, yeah, that would be probably the number one thing that parties have to agree to.
Right. So, yeah, that sounds like good advice. Lawyers, of course, know how to read all the small print, and they've had lots of experience with people trying to cheat on these contracts and stuff like that. So, yes, talk to a lawyer. Lawyers, of course, probably get paid too much for what they do, but nevertheless, they're necessary in society.
And get someone who is an expert at contract law. You don't want someone who's representing criminals, and you don't want somebody who's a divorce lawyer. You want a contract lawyer.
Make some phone calls and stuff like that. They'll give you an estimate and stuff like that. And be prepared to pay the price that they charge. You'll find it's worth it in the end. So, indeed, if you don't spell out all those details, someone's going to try to find a loophole and exploit that loophole and try to get back at you. And, yeah, maybe when they have this meeting, when they sign this contract, everything's friendly. They're all happy, smiling and everything. But, people turn the other way later on, and like you said, they may say, hey, 350,000 NT dollars just wasn't enough. Hey, I was there for 9 years. I deserve more than that. I'm going back there and give them a piece of my mind.
Or it could be the company saying, hey, I've already paid you 100,000 NT dollars. That's enough. So it can go either way. So be careful with that. I think this particular item here, one of the terms is that you won't try to recruit colleagues or former coworkers to go work with you at your new company. I think that one's pretty important. My brother, when he left one of his jobs, he had this happen to him. So, yeah, that's a smart little term to put in the agreement, I think. You can't recruit or entice former colleagues to come and join you at your new company.
Exactly. So these things are there for a reason. So again, talk to a lawyer and all that sort of things, all that sort of stuff. And hopefully this won't be a big problem. Everybody will sign the contract and everybody will live to see a happier day, and you can move on to get a new job and forget this ever happened. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. And that's all we have time to talk about. So thanks for joining us. And hopefully this won't happen to you with a future job. But,
True.
If it does, it might be a new opportunity for you. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.